My name is Mike LaVista. I know some of the people here. And what I want to show you today is some work we did for the Chicago Architecture Foundation. It's something called Discover Design. And I think it's scheduled to go live Thursday, so in a couple days. So pre-release. And I'll start with talking about what it does and from the outside, and then I'll do a little peek under the hood. Mostly the site is about teaching kids about what a career in design might be. And if you think about it, if you're a kid with an artistic kind of bent, what can I do with this skill? I think a lot of people, kind of say to themselves, well, I guess I could be an artist, and they don't realize there are these professional careers in design. So what this thing does is it tells them about the design process, which is, we're all in agencies or we work to that kind of process. You understand is I will get some requirements, I will spit them back in a way that it shows I understand them, I'll develop a prototype, I'll evolve, but all those sorts of steps that aren't really clear to people until they've done it. And so what the site does is it shows them a number of different design challenges they can enter and get mentorships for. And so what happens is they pick a project, for example, design a food stand for your school. They can read about it, what the problem is, and then you can create a project about it. And what we've done, what the Chicago Architecture Foundation has done is find a bunch of mentors at design firms and architecture firms to go through and pick up these students' projects and help them work their way through it. So you can start a project, you can, this one about the school stand, anything interesting here. You identify an audience, you're going to interview some street vendors, you're going to market the thing, you're going to do all the things it takes to be a professional designer. It's pretty interesting. So the thing I want to show you is something that sort of addresses in a way that, for me, the common complaint I hear from clients, which is, we say, isn't Drupal great, and isn't the admin interface great, and it's so elegant and simple, and for me at least, clients come back with a resounding, no, it's not. All the other ones are so much better, why can't this be like, the Adobe products and all that kind of stuff. So for this project, what we did was, I think I'm logged in as admin here, good, okay. So what I can do is if I pick this thing here and I hit start a challenge, what we're looking at here, or about to look at here, is a node that I can interact with through, what we're looking at is actually an Angular JS app. And all these things are little wrappers for elements of the node that each one's got its own little URL that it posts back to. And so as opposed to like your normal Drupal form here, what you get, I don't know if I want to add an image. Oh, sure, let's add an image. Take a little, there's a great image. It's going to be a very meta image here. Alright, so I'm going to do this. Alright. Great image. Okay. I can do, once I get in here, this is the new food stand. And so I'm kind of editing this this thing in a little bit more, I don't know, if user-friendly is kind of a too overused term, something that's a little more kind of inline, a little bit easier for people to interact with than your standard form element. It kind of goes down through and kind of finish these up a little bit. And each time I finish one of these, over here, these are sort of the stages. So I've got define, collect information, I've got brainstorm, I've got develop, and final. And each one of these, as a mentor, I can interact with by looking up, my various mentee. Is that a word? Let's say it is. Let's agree that mentee is a word. So my mentees, I can look at what they've done. I can give them feedback. Find the problem is, not enough tacos. And then if I were to look at, let's see here. Let's look at my profile. So my profile should have a list of the things that I'm working on. So here are all the projects I'm working on, including that one we just started here. And I could enter a bunch of these, and if you saw, if I go back to the design challenges, some of these competition ones actually have sometimes a monetary prize. So let's see what this one is here. What is the prize on this one? I'm sure it's a great prize. You can look it up and find out some other time. But if anything, so the interesting thing to me is the way that we did this this interaction here. Oops. Now this, just because I'm admin, that's why I got to that. Let's start one up here again. All right, so we did a little gist on how this all works here. So the high level here is that we've got these, we have as that page loads up, it attaches this directive to let the page know that it's something that you can interact with directly back with the Drupal REST module. And let me get down here a little bit here. Let's see. So one of the things that we did that's a little unusual, I think is sort of, generally speaking, not a best practice, is we force Angular in a couple places to use jQuery, mostly because it allowed us to kind of interact with the way that the page is being developed. And since we weren't really, because usually when you do that, the problem is that if you're modifying things outside of the DOM, Angular doesn't know about it, but all Angular has to know about is what's happening is it's in its own little zone here. So this is a zone, that's a zone, that's a zone. So with each save, it just posts back to the Drupal API and saves the little piece of content. And if anything, I think the opportunity here is I had another conversation with a client today about, boy, wouldn't it be great to have a better interface for how we edit these pages, and this kind of gives a window into how you might do it, which is kind of create these little wrappers for the little sections within the content. Let's see what other kind of cool stuff we did here. I don't know, any questions, things that look interesting, things you want to know more about?
How'd you do the progress on the side then if they're individuals?
Oh, that, so if you notice I cheated when I did that and I reloaded the page. So it doesn't know, that's the one thing it doesn't know about, thank you very much.
Okay.
Until, because that would be something that's outside the scope of what it's looking at, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So that was a compromise to be made or not made. And you should win some kind of prize for pointing that out, by the way. I appreciate that. So I think it's what we notice is in the workflow is like one of those UX trade-offs where it's like, well, how often would you bang, 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 complete the whole project? The answer is probably not. So from UX point of view, this whole process might take a student like a month or two to do. So they're going to work really hard. It's almost like for each one of these, they're submitting homework. So, okay, I'm going to work really hard on my definition and what it's going to be all about. Upload things, see what the mentor says. Wait. Okay, feedback, let's go on the next step like that. I think it's only during a demo. Sometimes you do things in a demo, they're sort of unusual from the workflow. Anything else looks interesting?
It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
So who are the students? Is it for Chicago Public Schools?
It's really for any underserved kid in the nation, really. The only ones we're going to see the marketing probably are Chicago-based, but technically anyone that would found this. Actually, thank you for the nice segue. Because one of the other things that it interacts with that I didn't talk about here is they're really interested in this concept of badging. So the idea that you can earn a badge for public space design or structure design, stuff like that. There's a project called Open Badges, which I think is somewhat backed by the Mozilla Foundation, that has a bunch of sort of standard, there's web stuff, there's design stuff, but there's other things too. So they wanted to integrate into that. So we basically added a couple of new badge types to that project, and now we're using them here. And so one of the ways that we think people will find out about this is that if you're anywhere in that Mozilla badging Open Badge network, you're going to see this new badge pop up, which is excellence in school, lunch truck design or whatever that was. Tell me more about that, and then they can kind of find the way over to, well, what sites support that? Only Discover Design, and then, So if I do the math, my guess is 4 people will find it that way. But it's at least something. But I think it's mostly focused on the Chicago area, to be determined.
Is it reusable?
The whole framework? That was our idea. So, because I think I was kidding a little bit, but I can't tell you how many clients have complained to us about, the Drupal admin. And, no matter what you do to kind of fix it up, I think it's really functional, it's very elegant, it's just sort of straightforward, but from a client perspective, can I just, no. So this might be a way, so we tried to abstract it as much as we could. I pulled out the template that does it. I would think this would be pretty straightforward to put in any template, including like the normal, any page editing, node editing template, and attach this sort of behavior to it. It's pretty lightweight. It's got the typical kind of upfront, Angular load that comes along with it. But if you think about it, if the use case is an admin or an editor, that group can live with a couple of seconds, as they're editing a page. It wouldn't show up if it was on the. In fact, I think on the when you're viewing the project, that's just like looking at content. It's not until you try to edit it that it turns into that. Anything else?
How's your content structure for content types and your entities? How's all that put together? Where does this information actually go?
That is a great question. And by way of explaining, I will tell you that the person who is going to present this, who developed it, is in Greece until tomorrow. Is not. So that was a great plan on my part. So let's check and see what we got in here. So I think I can fake my way through this a little bit. So we're just looking at challenge. So these are basically what we did was, so how there's this tab that at least I'd never used before, which is managing the form display. So what we've got here is we came up with an alternate form display type that's got all these elements in it, and these each have a URL we're posting back to on that Angular app, or actually it's like multiple Angular apps on top of each other. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
Yeah.
That kind of idea? So
I'm sorry, so that form is the form for the kids to enter?
yeah, so what ends up happening is we interact with the Drupal REST API to say, let's look on here. Description of node 65 is this URL, and then on the front end, when we edit it, it's just posting like this, definition. So define probably has a thing here. Let's hope I'm not making this stuff up. I think that's description maybe. So those are posting back just to that field for that node. So they're only. It's kind of weird because in a way you're not updating the whole page all at once.
So is each project made of multiple nodes? Or?
No, it's just the one node. So each one has this. Here's like one project, but the page that we're saving the data to, this Angular app, is saving to each group of fields individually. I don't know if that was the best way to do it, but that's how our Angular app ended up working the best to kind of accomplish this weird kind of get it all to come together at once idea.
I'm guessing you don't have revisions turned on then?
I don't know. That sounds like that'd be a mess. Yes, probably. You better get your project right the first time or you'll be in deep trouble. Yes.
Well, could you edit? Or how, once they get feedback on something, could they change their definition?
Sure. You can always change it. I think we're just overwriting what's in there. Yeah, because otherwise you'd end up with multiple things stacked on top of each other for sure.
So was that the resume button then?
What's that?
Was that the resume button at the top? Because you had start.
Oh no. Where was that? When I started the project?
I know there at one point, if you went to an existing project, there was start resume.
Let me get that. I'm glad this is on tape because now the team can find out all the stuff I made up here. Where did you see that?
On the front page.
Front page? Like home page?
Yeah.
Sure.
Click on.
Click on a challenge?
Yeah, go to a challenge.
Cardboard locker.
So, yeah, it's not here.
Yes. Everybody saw it though, huh?
Yeah, it was next to
Under design challenge.
There's a tag with the. That way you could win a.
One of those.
I thought it was to design a food stand for your school.
I'll try that. I'll open a new one.
There.
Oh, here we go.
Start and resume.
Oh, because I've already, I have two going for this one now, right? So I've got the one I just started and the one that we must have demoed yesterday or something.
That's the revisions at the time.
Yeah. So it's actually, every time I start a new one, I get another instance of this project. So you could make 10 food stands if you wanted, I guess. But it wants to know which one do you want to resume.
So the students and the mentors don't ever see Drupal?
No, they don't. They don't. I'm trying to think. The only ones who see them are the admins who can kind of set it when projects are instantiated. That comes from like the Chicago Architecture group, and that's more of a traditional Drupal interface. But then once it's live, it's all this stuff. So I don't know. I don't want to knock the Drupal admin completely, but like I think for some things there are times when maybe a more elegant interface helps you get more of it into the marketplace. I don't know.
That's great.
So
I think Teresa would agree with you.
yeah.
Sure beats Quicken.
Yeah. Oops.
He's what?
Cool.
Okay.
So I think I can post some of this code. I think we open sourced a bunch of this already. So if people find ways to use it and get it out there, I'd be happy to hear about it and collaborate on it for sure. So
Will that be on the Meetup site or?
I don't know. I'll give it.
Yeah, we can put it
I'll
on
give it the
the
link. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Is your Git repository open, or?
For this project it's not, but I think we open sourced a bunch of things. We did like a JSON module for this. We did. I think the callback thing we did is what got open sourced. I think 2 or 3 things did along with this template. So we try to put back as much as we can. So I'll give it to you guys to post as much as we can. Actually, and to be honest, I don't know if you guys find this, but we were excited that the Architecture Foundation was excited to open source things. We have a lot of clients who, even though it wouldn't ever matter in a million years, there's no private information, can't open source anything, but they were kind of interested in it. I think it's sort of nonprofits have a different, more aligned way of doing and viewing that kind of stuff than others do. So.
Is this their first Drupal project?
No, they've got. They basically they do 3 things, only one of which everyone knows about. So they're the boat tour people. But they also do the Chicago Open House thing, which is kind of the buildings on this. Then the other one, one more is Drupal, and another one is the dreaded proprietary CMS. Hopefully that one is on its way out, but that's the goal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. So thanks for. If you noticed, I had strep throat 2 days ago. I'm not contagious anymore, but I'm only back to 50% on the voice. So appreciate it. Cool. Good. All right.